Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
A friend of mine was driving through northern Illinois the other evening, listening to a call-in program on a radio station out of Chicago. People were calling in all upset about the goat's head that was sent to Cubs owner Tom Ricketts at Wrigley Field. Some guy called in from Indiana and said, "Why are you all so upset about someone sending a goat's head to Wrigley Field? Aren't you the same people who sent a horse's to the White House?" Well, my friend almost ran off the road. Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. On a Tuesday, I think. The way it started off, it's got to be a Monday again. Good morning, good morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning, everybody, on Tuesday, June the 3rd. I'm Zeb Bell, along with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all their 7 great locations, along with some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. And now, basking in the glow of a day that will go down in infamy, her birthday. Good morning, Gina.
Well, good morning, sunshine. And yesterday was a wonderful day, and I want to say thank you to everybody who wished me a happy birthday.
You're very welcome. And the way this day started off, I think it's Monday again.
Almost. It almost seems like a Monday, doesn't it?
You know, do you ever notice how you get out of bed in the morning some days and you just think, okay, I got to be positive today. Everything's going to go well. I'm going to make my life better. I'm not going to fall back and say no-nos. I'm just going to go ahead and be a better person. And then all of a sudden, everything goes down the drain.
Yeah, it's the day testing you to see if you're actually going to hold true with that moxie.
I didn't.
I know, me neither.
Oh, hey, did we have a pledger?
We have Mr. Michael Rogers on for the pledge and for the weather.
All right, we'll take a break in between. Good morning, Michael. The pledge, please.
Morning, everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Michael will be back in just a moment, but first and foremost, I've got to tell everybody that Michael Rogers' weather is brought to everyone courtesy of Zeb at the Ranch radio program, and here now is Michael. Good morning, Michael. What's the weather going to be?
Oh, it's going to be one of those scenarios. It's classic. 59. Good morning, everybody. You want to get your chores done now. You need to get them done now. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You need to get them done now so you can take off on Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Why am I saying that? Because it's going to be nice and sunny all the way through the weekend. So you need to get the chores done so you can take off on Friday, so you can go play golf on Saturday, and then we'll get together on Monday and repeat the whole process because you're going to see the same weather all the way through next week. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go. What a forecast. Thank you very much, MichaelRogersWeather.com. My goodness, that sounds great. Don't forget our friends at SafeLink Internet, and they've been around for 16 years. Hard to imagine, 16 years, and they offer the fastest, reliable Internet, and their track record of working and serving with people is absolutely fantastic, and I'd like you to remember their website. website, SafeLinkInternet.com. All you have to do to get on their program, SafeLink Internet, is just call their office number, 677-8000. 677-8000, Idaho's number one choice, SafeLink Internet. You get a hold of them today. I know some other people that would love to see you come on in, and that's our dear friends, and they are Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You know, I lost some things, and I called over there yesterday to see if they possibly were there. I was hoping, please tell me that the lost is found, but evidently I lost them someplace else. I'm having problems. Anyway, Daryl's Cleaners, don't forget they got prepaid gift cards, too. And you can give those to your friends. That'd be a nice little birthday present to give them. And especially if you got a friend that looks all rumply-crumply. You might just give them a prepaid gift card to have their clothes cleaned and pressed and looking good at Daryl's Cleaners. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those really nice people today. Oh my, calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244-1866-927-4587. It went according to what I expected yesterday. After the program was over, we did receive some calls from some very liberal-minded folks that were upset, as I anticipated we would have some, that we spent the bulk of the program yesterday talking about the Bowe Bergdahl and the exchange problem with the 5 very nasty killer terrorists that are now back free and free to roam and create havoc and maim and kill again. And there is so much, I want to say this right up front, there is so much going on with this story. And there are so many people stepping forward with facts that they will testify to regarding Bowe Bergdahl and the exchange, etc., that you can form your own opinion. I talked to a very dear friend yesterday, and he said, let's not form any opinion until Bowe Bergdahl goes to court and has a trial to see really what he did or didn't do. But the facts that we have to report, and I will report, is one major fact is that he, Bergdahl, did walk off the base. He was not captured and taken away. He walked off the base where he was at. And that's something right there. Sending his computer and other personal items home, and then waiting, and then walking off the base. I mean, we have to absolutely use the word deserter because that's the word that's being used by many, many in the media today, along with many colonels, generals, etc. Colonel Hunt, as a matter of fact, on television yesterday called him a deserter. There was no if, and, or why. It was just a definitive, yes, he is a deserter. The soldiers that knew him said he left his camp and deserted. I'm not throwing those words in there. Those are the words of the soldiers that knew him and served with him. A specialist, Samuel Masamitsu, was a medic, and he said today, this morning on the news, he was quoted as saying that he knew of 6 dead American soldiers, that he personally tried to issue some help and assistance after they were shot. They were shot because of their going on patrol to try to find Bowe Bergdahl. And there are many upset soldiers. There are many upset people in the media. There are many upset people in government. And when he was asked, this was really interesting, Specialist Samuel Masamitsu, when he was asked about what he thought should be done to Bowe Bergdahl, he was very emphatic when he said initially, and he looked at the camera and he said, initially, I wanted him to get in front of a firing squad. Those are his words, not mine. But he said, now that I've had a chance to think it over and I've calmed down over a short period of time, he said, I would now rather see him spend life behind bars in Leavenworth. Calls are welcome. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. It's a story that's not going away. It's about an Idaho resident. It's about an Idaho soldier. It's about a man that basically has gone to the forefront of the news right now. Replacing most of the headlines about the VA or Benghazi or the IRS scandal, anything else. This is the story that is going on right now. And adjacent to anything this man did, Bowe Bergdahl, is what the president did by breaking the law and basically releasing these terrorists from Gitmo. We're not at war with a country per se. We're at war with the concept of terrorism. And there's a big difference right there. And I've listened to judicial scholars and constitutional scholars, and I have to side with the constitutional scholars that say definitively, that Obama broke the law and could be up on impeachment for what he did. I want you to call in and give me your thoughts on this. Maybe this story doesn't mean a lot to you. It does to me. And tomorrow I'm going to be talking to a returning veteran to this area that served our country and served our country well. And I'm very anxious to ask him his thoughts about this story. Your thoughts, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll do some commercials and then I will take your calls, so give me a jingle. Don't forget Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Number to call, 436-0141. They've got all the Gallagher fencing. They've got all the dog and kitty cat food. They've got everything for your 4-H supplies. I mean, all your feed needs, all your equipment, everything is right there at Valleywide Home and Ranch. All the health supplies to make sure your animals stay in tip-top condition. So please get on over there today. Valleywide Home and Ranch. Talk to Steve, Mandy, the rest of the crew. Really nice people, knowledgeable people that can help you at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Absolutely the best. And when you mention the best, you also have to talk about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hello, Keith. Hello, Rita. Hello, everybody over there. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And believe me, they're the farmer's friend. They know that when you go to town, you don't have a lot of time. They know that if you call ahead, they'll have your order waiting for you on the counter. Whether you need all the cord ends for all the different pieces of equipment or the rubber cord or the fuses, whatever, they'll have it ready for you. I'm going to cough. Hold on. Excuse me. Darn cough. Anyway, they're ready for you. All you have to do is call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Where is that call? Where are my calls? Come on, folks. This is a situation to where I really want your opinion. I want to hear what you have to say. So give us a jingle at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. 5 very dangerous, very deadly terrorist killers are back out on the loose. And it's not 5 of the bottom of the totem pole. It's 5 of the hierarchy that involved in all the planning and all the precision making for creating chaos anywhere around the world. They're back free. Did we give away 5 absolute killers back into their environment to save a deserter? And what was the rush? What was the big rush? We were told that Bowe Bergdahl was in a very serious condition, starving, etc. I'm not so sure, and neither are a lot of the experts that have started studying this. But really, what was the big rush? To do it now, right now, and release those 5 people from Guantanamo Bay. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
No, Zeb, I remember when this happened, when he walked off the base. So he, I'd say he did desert. And there was 6 men lost their lives looking for him. So that tells you what happened.
Let me ask you something. Fred, in regard... I just wanted to ask you a quick question there.
Terrorists back they can do harm again. I can't believe the president's done that. And he should be impeached. He broke the law, and so something should happen to him.
Absolutely. And Fred, I'm so glad to hear from you. I was glad to see you and Joyce at the Lunch Bunch last week. God bless you.
I'm on this cell, so I'll hang up and listen to you on the radio.
All right, sir. God bless you. Thank you very much. Fred Preston over in Declo, one of my dearest friends. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Colonel Hunt had it right last night when he said Bergdahl should be charged with treason because we lost 14 of his buddies were killed searching for him, thinking that he had been captured by the enemy, not knowing the circumstances.
That's right.
And according to the colonel there, he didn't have a rifle with him. He went under the barbed wire to get out. That's why he was straggling. And he was just deserting. And he should be charged with treason.
I'm having a big problem with all the different facts and figures that are coming out. The team leader, Sergeant Evan Buteau, was very outspoken about what he thought about Bowe Bergdahl and how he had left his other comrades and basically walked out of the camp. And, you know, it was really interesting yesterday, Tony, after the program, some of the liberals in our audience that don't have the nerve or the intestinal fortitude to call in on this program and perhaps arbitrate what they don't like to hear, they waited till after the program yesterday and then started to chew on me, which is not a good thing to do. And everything we put on the air, every single poignant fact that we put on the air was bona fide and reputable, and some people just can't buy into this, that perhaps this young man was not all that glittered was gold, and the problems that he caused by walking off the base and basically going over to the other side, he caused this, nobody else.
Well, I think his dad is ultra-liberal, and I think this is where he got his mindset. He was going to go over him because his name is Bergdahl. He was going to change the minds in the hearts of these terrorists. But that just doesn't work.
Tony, there was another part.
Guys that were released, they're going to be responsible for killing many, many more people.
Yes.
And this is going to be on the heads of Hagel and Obama and the rest of this bunch up there in Washington.
But, you know, there's another side to this story that I think is even bigger than Bowe Bergdahl and his return from the Taliban. My feeling is this, that Barack Obama absolutely stepped completely out of bounds on what he did in releasing these prisoners from Guantanamo Bay. And I think it was a show of defiance about he wanted to close Guantanamo for a long time. And now what he's done, Tony, and quickly respond to this, is that he's opened the door for more kidnappings and more offering of more of the bad guys out of Gitmo. It's his way of saying we're going to clean out the prison and shut it down. That's my opinion. What's yours?
Well, it's the same thing that the mob does. They send their hitmen out to get what they want, and what they want is more money so they can have bigger armies, more arms, and try to get more control over the rest of the world.
I agree.
Excuse me.
I agree. Tony, I got to run. Say hello to Mary. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Deb, since we've elected this president, we have had one crisis after another that has taken precedent in the news. And, last week it was the VA, and the week before it was the VA, and Benghazi, the IRS. You see, now all anybody's talking about is this, not the VA.
Well, wait a minute, Randy, wait a minute. I'm not picking and parsing at your words, but I think you would agree when you use the word crisis could be ascertained as maybe something that happened around the globe with maybe somebody fighting against Israel or somebody invading another country. These are scandals. These are scandals, pure and simple, that are caused by an amateuristic, non-caring administration.
Well, and the word crisis was the wrong word to use, and you're right. And so, but you see, we're always distracted by something new, a new controversy. See, he intentionally did this so we would be all up in arms about releasing these 5 terrorists, the starting 5. And so, think about it, Deb. In the meantime, we still got all this other stuff going on, and it's just one thing after another. It's just been that way for 5.5 years.
Have you ever seen anything like this, Randy, in all your years? I haven't. I mean, you've succinctly said it. I mean, we've jumped from one scandal to the next scandal, and that scandal, and then this scandal, and then another scandal. This administration absolutely is pathetic.
Well, it's an intentional thing, and it's just, think about it, Zeb. We've been doing this for 5.5 years. Every morning or every week, it's a new thing, and we forget about what happened long ago. We were supposed to have resolved these other issues long ago. Our political leaders, the poor people, can't get any leadership. It's just a mess.
Absolutely. Randy, I always appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Thanks so much. Thank you. Caller, don't you go away. I'll be right with you. I appreciate your call. I just got to get this word in for Denny's Restaurant. Oh, I love Denny's Restaurant. 611 Overland and Burley, Thomas and Terry, the whole crew always serving us with the best on the menu. Oh, my. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You'd better get on in there and enjoy. Holy smokes, every time I go in, I sit down and I pick out a new menu item. Wow. And then I'm always bragging about how great it is. Well, it is great food, and the service is also fantastic. It's the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, so please stop in at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley. You're going to love the place. And don't forget senior special menu and AARP discounts. Everybody stops in at Denny's Restaurant on Overland in Burley. Caller, good morning. Thank you for your patience.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead, please, quickly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a Vietnam vet, a 20-plus year Army person, retired. I think they ought to take Mr. Bergdahl from front of the firing squad with the parents of those with fingers on the trigger.
Let me ask you a question here in regards to the protocol of this event. Yes, I still maintain that anybody and everybody is innocent until proven guilty. But when you listen to the news and you read the newspaper and you follow what's happened over the last couple of days, how can you not accept the words of fellow soldiers and generals and colonels that Bowe Bergdahl was not what we thought he was?
Well, I think that's a problem with this nation. The military is run by the politicos, not by the generals and the sergeants that should be running it.
I agree. There's no argument on my part. And I just want to see justice prevail. And I also want to see our soldiers that are in the sand and the muck laying there protecting us and others around the world are not tainted by somebody like a deserter from their ranks. This really bothers me. Thank you for your call this morning. I appreciate it. God bless you. Have a good day. More calls are welcome. I've got to take a break real quick, and I've got to talk about Travel Lube Supply real fast. Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Heyburn. Number to call, 438-8730. All your bolts, whether it's metric or standard bolts, all the bolt bins. Can't have the bolts if you don't have the bins. They've got them all at Travel Lube Supply. And they can clean your air filters, and you can reuse them. Save money. And they've got all the sprayer parts. All you have to do is say, hey, I heard this on Zeb Bell's program, and we want the discount. Well, you'll get it up to 50% off. Holy buckets. Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Heyburn, 438-8730. I'm running late. Take some more calls in a moment. Right now it's time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems through Ramsey Heating and Electric.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
The USDA has opened the second and final public comment period on J.R. Simplot Company's innate line of genetically modified potatoes. The USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service will accept comments through June 30th on its pest risk assessment and draft environmental assessment regarding deregulation of innate products. Simplot Plant Science expects approval of the first innate potatoes this year. The product should be commercially available for the next planting season. The first line includes russet Burbanks, Ranger russets, and Atlantics that resist black spot bruising, have lower sugars, won't brown when cut, and contain low levels of acrylamide, a potential carcinogen formed in starchy foods under certain conditions.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and CapitalPress.com.
And like I said, Lennox Home Comfort Systems, all through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have a story, excuse me, from Newsmax, one of the most reputable news systems in and on the East Coast. And I was reading this story by Sean Pickley, and it's about Sergeant Evan Buteau. Maybe you have heard his name used in the last couple of days because he was the team leader who supervised Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl in Afghanistan, and he shows mixed emotions on Bowe Bergdahl. And I'm going to call her just a minute. I'll be right there, I promise. But as I read through the story by this Sergeant Buteau, I came upon this in the story, and he said, quote, "I don't want him," he's in reference to Bergdahl, "regarded as a hero," said Buteau. "I don't want him regarded as the example that soldiers should look up to, because he is the exact opposite of that." Unquote. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, the way Obama flatters the people and does the things that he does and gets away with them, I truly feel that he is being led and guided by Satan.
I'm not going to...
In the last days, we're going to have people like him that'll be running things and making things bad, and I think he's one of the people that are being led by Satan to cause those things to come about.
You know, I'm not ever going to argue with your viewpoint on acting like Satan and being led by Satan and the last days. One of my dearest friends from Kimberly was out here last night, and I hadn't seen him for a long time, and we sat and visited, and he said basically the same thing that you said. I am extremely concerned and worried that this man, Obama, has taken it upon himself to act in almost a dictatorial type fashion. Do and say and promote and sign into action or discredit whatever he wants to, knowing that the news media won't touch him, nobody's going to come after him, and right now I'm very worried. Go ahead.
That's true. You know, he can do whatever he wants, and he comes out smelling like a rose. You know, if something happens bad, it's somebody else's fault. But boy, when something like this comes up and he can look good, he's right out there and he knows how to do it.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Pardon me, sir. I didn't mean to override you. We got a little delay there. I apologize for that. I just wanted to say thank you for your viewpoint, and believe me, I absolutely give a credit to your opinion because I tend to agree with you. Thank you so much for your call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sometimes, sometimes on a phone call with a little bit of a delay, I'll walk on the callers, and I certainly don't mean to be rude, so please accept that. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Hoss, this is the Chief.
Yeah, Chief, go ahead, please.
Being in the military myself and retired, Bo still needs to go through a court-martial for Uniform Code of Military Justice. He obviously left his post.
Yes.
And I think that's the best place to start.
Chief, let me quickly ask you a question. And I appreciate and respect your service to our country. There was a call yesterday after the program, and they criticized me for bringing forth this information on Bergdahl. And I want to ask you this. We need to know what the allegations are. We need to know what his fellow soldiers felt and how they feel about this man after he basically left the post. What are we doing wrong by bringing this information to the public? Some of the people were outraged. Then they said we were giving him a trial by radio, and I wasn't giving him a trial by radio. I was stating the facts of the case. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. It's a shame it's Idaho. I mean, the guy might be possibly a coward. And from Idaho, come on, is that the best we got?
Yeah.
With all this coverage and all this hot spotlight on it.
Well, I know, but we have to report the news.
There's so much going on that basically start with him. You're assigned to a post. You have to stay on that post. They probably pounded that in his head before they were sent over there in training. And he lays his weapon down and leaves his post.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's what we need to get on the air. If that's what you said yesterday, that's fine with me.
Yep, I agree. And, Chief, I thank you for your call. Always good to hear from you. I got a list of calls. Thank you very much. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Want to remind you about Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 south of Rupert. Don't forget the Kids Canine Camp. Oh, my, this is going to be fun. Saturday, June 14th from 10 to 4. The cost is $45 for one child, half price for the second child, and they'll receive instructions on how to groom the dog, obedience classes for the dogs, not the kids, games, lunch, all kinds of good things over at Four Paws Bed and Bath. This is a wonderful deal. We're going to be talking to Kathy about this tomorrow. Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 south of Rupert, 438-4444. Real quickly, Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness. They got all the Doosan loaders and excavators. Yeah, buddy. And they got the special edition millionth loader over there at the Burley location. That is a big dude, S650, ready to go and do the job for you. They've got all the loaders. They've got great lease payments. They've got everything, the Bobcats, the Coyote, tractors, walker mowers. What you need is at Barry Equipment and Rental. 3 locations, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. The best serving you, Barry Equipment and Rental. Good morning, caller. Thank you for your patience. And I thank them, and they're gone. Isn't that always the way? Oh, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The president, and it hurts me to say that because I'm having a hard time associating the name Obama with the presidency, was over in Poland this morning, and he was asked questions about Bowe Bergdahl. And in his very halting and stuttering and almost looking at the ceiling and the teleprompter trying to find answers, he said, regardless of the circumstances, we got Bowe Bergdahl back. And I thought about that, and the words, regardless of the circumstances, that really bothers me. Regardless of the circumstances? Well, the circumstances are that he went to Gitmo with a pen and a phone and gave a get-out-of-jail-free card on the Monopoly board to 5 of the worst. These are bad guys. 5 of the worst terrorist killers in the world today. And basically gave them a free pass to go back to Qatar. And supposedly that country is going to watch them for a year. Now, I'm not chuckling because it's funny. I'm chuckling because it's so absolutely absurd. They're going to watch them over in Terrorland in the Middle East. They're going to watch these 5 bad guys to make sure that, oh, I saw you. You were building a bomb. Shame on you. This is asinine and ridiculous. And his words of regardless of circumstances. This really is shallow, and I wonder what's going to happen next. Is the shoe going to drop again tomorrow? And another American is going to be taken hostage, and all of a sudden there's a phone call that says, well, Obama, you better let loose 5 more until Gitmo is empty. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. This is Jeff. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for your call. Go ahead.
Okay, here's my view on this. Back when he was first came up missing, and they were looking for him, there wasn't really anything mentioned about this guy deserting. Well, unfortunately, we lost 6 other Americans looking for the guy, and now that he's being freed, and all of a sudden they're saying, and I'm not saying that they're not telling the truth, there is a very high possibility just from the actions that he took before he became missing by sending all of his possessions home, leaving his rifle, leaving his post. Yeah, that's a violation of UCMJ because I'm a dual veteran, you know. And I wonder if maybe this is just another one of those political distractions to get our attention away from what the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, right, type thing.
Well, I can't argue that point at all because it's taken over the front page of every newspaper right now, around the globe, especially in this country, and it's put the VA problems on the back burner, unfortunately. However, let me throw this at you. With what Bergdahl did, and then walking off the post, and there have been numerous, and I know you know this to be fact, there have been numerous allegations that many soldiers and many hierarchy in the military were very concerned that he was possibly collaborating with the Taliban in giving them information. How would you like to be one of those soldiers at that post, whether you're in the motor pool, whether you're guarding all the weapons and whatever, knowing that one of your own walked out and gave information that could kill you?
Yes, I wouldn't like that at all, because and that type of information given to the enemy is the basis for treason.
I agree, and I do appreciate your call, sir. Thank you, and call again. I appreciate your taking the time this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Caller, I'll be right with you, I promise. I've just got to get some commercials in here so I don't get behind. Father's Day's coming up, don't forget. Mad River Laser, hello, Nicole and the rest of the crew over there, 700 South Oneida in Rupert. They've got all the buck knives. Dad would love to have a buck knife. I would love to have another buck knife. I collect those. And if you buy a buck knife, you get 10% off and free laser engraving to get Dad's name on the blades. Oh, my. All you got to do is be sure and mention you heard it from me. Get over there today. That's at 700 South Oneida in Rupert. Mad River Laser. These folks are fantabulous. 700 South Oneida in Rupert. Along with the Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley with Colonel Dale and the rest of the folks. You looking for books for Dad? Look no further. Thousands and thousands and thousands of books over there at the Book Plaza. Books of every kind of enjoyment. So please stop in there. 3 floors of books at the Book Plaza for Father's Day gift giving at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I don't know why people keep calling in and saying this is brand new news. That everybody knew 5 years ago when he got captured that he walked out to him. It just wasn't with the mainstream media we got nowadays. It just wasn't put out there very often, but it was put out there by a few little news shows that he did walk out to them and desert.
You know, you're right, but now also, wouldn't you agree with me that perhaps the reason that it wasn't covered to the degree it is now is that I think most of the news outlets didn't want it to be true?
No, they didn't.
What are your thoughts about the overall concept of this story? I mean, how concerned are you of the 5 bad guys that went back into their terrorist lifestyle? How concerned are you about Sergeant Bergdahl being hailed as a hero in his hometown when, in essence, I'm not buying any welcome home presents?
You know what I look forward to, and maybe it's rude to say, but then people that are calling him a hero and welcoming him back home, and his parents who hate the United States anyways, how bad are they going to hate the United States when he gets court-martialed and brought to justice?
Good point. Excellent point.
For his desertion, they're really going to hate the United States more than they already do.
But the other point is, and I think you'll agree with this, we don't want to jump too far ahead on the game board and already judge him totally guilty, because he does have his day in court coming, and all we're doing this morning, and I think you'll agree with this, is we're reporting the news and what's being said by his fellow soldiers and military hierarchy, and that's what we're reporting. I'm not judging him guilty. I'm just stating the facts that are given by the military and former other soldiers that were with him. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Right, and them are the facts that he sent his belongings home 3 days before he walked out to them. They didn't raid his post and kidnap him and take him.
That's right.
Walked out to them. Them are facts.
That's right.
Those are the facts.
And that's why yesterday when I got some calls after the program and they started tearing at me, I said, wait a minute, I'm reporting the facts as a journalist has to on a program. And I will refuse to be cowed by anybody because the facts are all in. I've got a litany, a page after page of all the facts that are coming in about Bowe Bergdahl and also what Obama did. And if we can't report the facts in a free society and we have to be afraid of people's hurt feelings, there's something wrong in America.
Right. And keep up the good work, because that's exactly what you're doing is reporting the facts, and they are what they are.
All right, sir. God bless you for your call. I appreciate your viewpoint. Thank you very much. Some really good calls coming in here this morning. I'd like another call. But right now, real quick, we're going to have an update on the weather. I think it's going to be really good. Here's MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Now, our scenario for today is this. It's Tuesday, and you got a nice weekend coming. So you got chores to be done. Ladies, get your significant others to get those chores done before you get to the weekend, because you're going to have a nice weekend. As far as the day is concerned, sun and clouds, 83 for the high. You're going to stay in the 80s all the way through Monday and next week. So enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. MichaelRogersWeather.com. You know, earlier, and I want some more calls on this, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Earlier, I was mentioning about some of the soldiers that were in his platoon, in his camp, really were concerned about the possible collaboration with the enemy. And one soldier was quoted as saying, as we're all sitting there on this very small base, miles away from any major forward operating base, we're saying, you know what? He, meaning Bergdahl, knows where our bunkers are. He knows where our positions are. He knows where our trucks are parked. He knows how our guard shifts change. He knows what our sectors of fire are. They, the soldiers, were very concerned. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I appreciate, I've done a lot of homework since I talked to you yesterday, too, but like I say, he's going to have his day in court, but I think that the worst part of this whole thing is the release of those murderous terrorists, and they're going to murder, could be thousands more and so forth. And the other story of the day that, didn't get the headlines, but was featured in the head cartoon today in the paper was the fact that our energy costs are going to...
No, Adrian, I'm going to interrupt you on that because I'm going to stay on this for the remaining part of the hour on the Bergdahl story. I'm going to be getting into energy later on this morning.
Comment on that is that, if this man's father gets up there and praises Allah in front of a nationwide press conference, that really irked off. I've talked to a lot of friends, and if there's anything that turned a lot of people off on this whole situation was the father's comments and also the tweets and so forth that have been made public by him.
I agree with that. And did you see the news clip while it happened? Quickly answer that.
Oh, Oh, yeah, well, not as it happened. I've seen the news clip or the total thing, replayed.
All right, well, what I'm saying is if you watch the news clip, it's really interesting. It'll be shown probably again today many times. Watch Obama with the smile and the smirk on his face as he listens to the father. That really got to me.
I did that. I've seen it more than once, that particular one. And then, of course, as he embraces him, and I'm thinking, good grief.
Yeah.
He's really endorsing what he had to say for sure. He was all smiles from ear to ear.
I agree.
Situation, absolutely.
I agree. Adrian, I got other calls. No time. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Always call in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Oh, good morning, Zeb. I can hardly hear you, but I just have a couple of statements. First of all, he's a traitor. He deserves what he should have, his firing squad. But also, I heard something early this morning that we're supposed to be at ease because of the fact that actually there have been 80 plus of these these people have been released before, and only 5 or 6 of them became active terrorists again. That's supposed to give us comfort.
Adrian, it's so interesting how the news media today will try to wrap up in a nice little gift wrap package bad news and tell you not to worry about it, even though people are trying to kill us. It's absolutely insane.
Yes, I totally agree.
God bless you for your call. Good to hear from you. Thank you. I don't care if 1 out of 100 is released and they go back and try to kill us. That one person could wreak mayhem and disaster comparable to what happened during 9/11. But now we have 5. We have 5, and if you see the pictures of these guys, these are bad-looking dudes. These are bad-looking people that absolutely their whole life is committed to nothing more than killing and mayhem. Isn't that sad? Isn't it sad and pathetic that is their life? That is their goal when they get up in the morning, to figure out how they can kill and create mayhem and misery and heartbreak for humanity? And to release that group of vermin, worthless human beings, onto the world, and only time will tell as to what they will do. I'm looking eastward at the White House in Washington, D.C., and I'm saying, Barack Hussein Obama, how could you be so doggone dumb? Calls available right now, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll hear it from the liberals on that too, but that's okay. Don't forget, best tire value in the industry is at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. My goodness sakes. Free lifetime tire and mileage care, free flat tire repairs, free tire rotations, free tire rebalancing, and free air checks, and free brake and alignment checks. Wow. I mean, they really take care of you above and beyond. Service is impeccable. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Pauline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best with all the tires, the front end alignments, the shocks and struts, the best in brake service, and of course batteries. And I mentioned that they've got those special custom wheels. Woo-hoo! You better stop in today. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got time for more calls. Give me a jingle, 436-2244. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I kind of disagree with you about Obama being dumb. I think he has got this planned out, and I think this is what he's planned, and he's going one step at a time until he gets shot back down.
Doug, I'm not going to argue with your assertion that Obama is not dumb. I agree with you. I should have said dumb like a fox. Those are the 2 words I should have added, or 3 words. I should have said like a fox at the end of that statement. There's absolutely, I agree with you. It's not stupidity per se. This is absolutely, I think, a planned mayhem, and this man and his handlers, they know what they're doing.
They do, and it's laid out, and if we don't wake up and do something about it, we're going underwater.
Yeah, I'm glad you called me and corrected me on that, because those are words that have to be stated with Obama. Dumb like a fox, because I think there's a lot of sly, very under the table, very confidential atmospheres that are going on that are against us in America and our American goals and ideals. I agree with you.
Yep. Now, I heard this morning that Cuba's wanting to trade a prisoner for about 3 prisoners.
You see, this is like opening up a new deck of cards, and you're going to lay them all out on the table, you're going to fan through them, and then turn them over, and if you got one that's got a little wrinkle, you're going to get rid of them, or here's another one that's got a little wrinkle, you're going to get rid of them. Yep. Pretty soon you're down to playing with another deck of cards, and this is what's happening. I'm really afraid what's going to happen to Gitmo, and this may be his way of closing down that prison.
Well, it will be, because you turn them loose, trade them for people, and I just pray for the people that, these 5 that got released, I just pray for their victims that's going to happen.
I'll say this real quickly, and I want you to respond to this, Doug. You're going to be my last caller for this hour because I'm out of time. I honestly think that some people are going to howl and they're going to cry foul and everything else, but I think before those bad guys should have been released, each and every one of them should have been put to sleep with sodium pentothal or whatever, and they should have had a homing device injected into their system so that we know where they are 24/7, and then, baby, send in the drones.
Well, very true. I agree with that, Zeb. That this administration, where there's, they won't cause any harm, like Jay Carney, and then Obama says, they might, My God, I'm just a small business owner, and I know what they're going to do. They're not going to stop it. Just,
absolutely.
Okay, we'll go live our lives out and retire on the beach.
Absolutely.
They're right back in the war.
Doug, I appreciate your calls. God bless you. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Got to run. Thank you. We're going to take a little break. Next hour, we're going to talk to Jimmy Flowers. Jimmy's a dear, dear friend of mine, and they've got a big car show, a great car show coming up this weekend that's it's known all over the Northwest. And then we're going to be talking to Andy Johnson at 9:30 this morning. He is the gentleman from Wyoming. The EPA is trying to charge $75,000 a day for a little farm pond. We'll talk to them in a little bit. God bless. We'll see you in 6. Oh, my. Welcome back. Wish this wind would quit. What is it about the wind all of the time? We've got to have a breeze. It's more than a breeze. What is it blowing out there? About 25 miles an hour? Anyway, good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell. Welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and, of course, all 7 locations. And also some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always sure to sorrow. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
I'll bet there's a lot of families out there. There's a lot of businesses that are planning their picnics and their reunions and everything else for this summer. So don't forget Western Waste Services with all the porta potties. Very important. Make sure you got the porta potties all ready to go. All you have to do is call 734-6969. You better believe it. And also get on the route service. Every week they come by, pick up our garbage. Oh my goodness, I love watching that great big truck with that arm come out, pick it up, drop it in, it's all set. You're going to love the service because they are always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, don't forget on Thursdays, we got a program called Gardening for Idiots, named after me because I'm not much of a gardener, but I'm learning thanks to Vicky's Country Garden and Miss Vicky at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. All your garden needs in one stop. shop right over there at Vicky's Country Gardens in Paul. Really a nice lady. Oh, and let's not forget, when we talk about nice people, we've got to also mention real fast our wonderful friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, with Joel Heward and his entire family. My. You know, a lot of people think, oh, goodness, we've got to drive in, we've got to see Joel, we've got to get over there, got to take care of everything immediately. No, wait a minute. Joel and the rest of the folks, they can travel to rural towns and churches to work with you and your family and getting all the arrangements taken care of. Really, it's family attention to the families. They're helping you. All you have to do is give them a call at 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. And always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Joel Heward and his staff at Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. Well, let's go to the phone lines. And right now, a dear friend, known him for a long time, and he and his wife, they put together some really great-looking cars, refurbished a lot of cars, especially that one called the Purple People Eater. Here's Jimmy Flowers. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, my friend, Mr. Bell. How are you today?
Well, I am fantastic, and here's a guy, along with his beautiful wife, Frida, that absolutely have the patience of Job. You really like to take your time and restore old cars, don't you?
Well, when I had more time, I did, but I'm getting old and running out of time, so trying to wrap things up now and mostly just enjoy them.
Well, now, when you talk about cars and car shows, you've got a great big one coming up this next weekend. Tell us a little bit about it, Jimmy.
Well, first of all, did you hear Mr. Rogers this morning talk about that weather? If that isn't car show weather, I don't know what is.
Well, I'll tell you what.
People get their chores done. Another reason to get those chores done is so you can go to this car show.
Absolutely. Now, where's it going to be? Give us all the parameters as to what's going to happen.
Well, this is going to be our 28th show for those that have never heard of us before. And it's going to be at, the fairgrounds here in Cassia County. I think everybody knows where it's at. I do have quick directions, but if you can get to Burley, you can find the fairgrounds. And it's going to be Saturday and Sunday, the 7th and the 8th. And if somebody's got a car they want to come and register to show, registration from 7:30 to 11 o'clock.
Okay.
I want to make sure that everybody knows it is not just cars. There's cars, motorcycles, boats, tractors, bicycles, pedal cars. Anything that you have that you're proud of, want to show off, you're welcome to come and do it here.
Now, Jimmy, this pedal car deal, is this a new addition to the car show, or have you had that in the past?
We've always had pedal cars that people restore and bring them and show them. But about the last 6 or 7 years, the club buys a pedal car and displays it by the main entrance gate, and people are free to buy a raffle ticket on it. And, we've had wreckers, we've had tow trucks, we've had airplanes, we've had Corvettes, we've had old Chevys, all this in the line of the old pedal car style. And a lot of the kids come through, that's the first thing they see, and parents are encouraged to buy them a raffle ticket.
All right. Now, what's the name of this car show? It's got a kind of a professional sounding name. Give us the title.
Oh, we just love it. It's called Classics on the Grass.
Classics on the Grass. Oh, my goodness. Now, do you have an idea as to what type of cars are going to be there? Are some of the old standards going to be coming in from around the Northwest? Tell us about that.
Well, we are looking for a lot of the old standards to come. We have some folks that come up from old Chubbuck and Idaho Falls and Blackfoot down in that area. They've been coming about 14, 15 years now, and we've got some from up towards Twin and on up in Jerome in that area. They've been coming for 15 years or so, and these are the ones we like to encourage to keep coming back, because we must be doing something right or you'd never see them again.
Okay. Now, give us a thumbnail sketch of some of the different types of cars that you know are coming. Some of the years, some of the makes and models, that type of thing.
Well, from years past, we've had everything from the early 1900s clear up to the 2000s. Just whatever person likes. We get a lot of... Lately, they've been picking up on what's called rat rods. And these folks will make something out of nothing. They pull an old car up out of the gully out in the desert, and a week later, they got a motor in and they're driving it around.
And they're called rat rods?
Yes, sir. That's what they call them. I don't know if I'd like to build one or not, but I wouldn't mind trying to ride in one, but they're only about 6 inches off the ground.
Oh, my goodness. Jimmy, of all the years...
Getting out, we take a step ladder and a crane.
That's right. Jimmy, of all the years that you've been connected with this Classics on the Grass, what is the most unique or different vehicle that you've ever seen at that car show?
Well, to sum it up in a quick nutshell, there was a gentleman from Canada up close to Alaska. He was bringing this car that he'd kind of built, put together, and it broke down on him. And we felt sorry for him, so we sent his entrance money back, and darned if he didn't come back again the next year. It was built on the theme of like a 40 Ford, if you can imagine what I'm talking about. They kind of a unique look that year. And he comes bringing it in, and he sitting on a 5-gallon bucket for a seat. And it was a neat looking car. It was down about 6-8 inches off the ground, and painted ugly lime yellow sort of a color. But that's what he was proud of, and he brought it. And then we've had some real early cars, and we've had some rare cars, and souped up cars, and cars, pickups with big wheels. And over the years, I don't think there's anything we haven't had. We've had quite a variety of cars show up.
Now, are these people that are coming to the Classics on the Grass car show, are they competing for prizes? Are they competing for money? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're going to change our trophy deal a little bit this year. They're picking out, some of the better cars, and they're going to... These guys, they can vie against each other if they want to. I think the main reason most of them come that are not in the club, because we have a $500 giveaway that's open to all the entrants except for the club members. And I think everybody likes to compete against everybody else for that. And then we give away a set of tires that's open to everybody, and that's a nice prize by itself.
Okay.
The reason that most of the people come, and I've heard them talk about it, is for the camaraderie and for the food.
And for the food. Oh, my goodness.
Anybody that enters a car, they get a free steak supper Saturday night, and a free continental breakfast, or maybe a little more, a chuck wagon breakfast, that'd be a good word, on Sunday morning.
Okay. Now, I understand that there is an admission charge, but it's really, really low. Tell us about how you got to pay to get in.
Well, I hope we can keep that price, because I think that brings a lot of people. If a kid, a child, or a young person is 6 or under, they can get in free.
Okay.
And from 7 to 12, it only costs $1. And then from 13 to 69 is $3.
Okay.
70 and over is again free.
All right.
So if you're under 7 or over 70, you just walk in.
All right. Now, what about entertainment while they're walking around listening and watching to all the cars? Is there going to be some entertainment there?
Well, we lost our MC last year. He got ill and passed away, and so they've got the services of Marcus Meek this year.
Okay.
He's going to provide some entertainment, and he's going to bring some of these students, and they're going to play music and on Saturday and Sunday for us. And this will be the first year of this. We're hoping it'll all go well. We're finding that it will. And so come by and listen to them.
All right. Now, major sponsors. You can't put an event on like this, Jimmy, without having some people that are going to stand behind you and back you financially. Who are your sponsors?
Well, Les Schwab, Giddy Motors, Mr. Gas, they're kind of like 3 of the major sponsors. We've had other sponsors come and go in the past, and we have a plethora of local businesses that help and add to the car show. Like you, we appreciate your help in promoting the car show. We been there for us the last few years, and a good friend to the car club.
Well, we really enjoyed bragging about it. Now, let's talk a little bit in the time remaining about refurbishing these cars. I mean, is there a book? Is there a video? I mean, how do these people like yourself, how do you know how to do that kind of thing to refurbish or rebuild these old cars into these magnificent, shiny specimens that they're going to see at this car show?
I hear you talking to your lovely assistant there, Gina, and it sounds like she's doing a good job at rebuilding one. Usually you learn from watching other people. I do know when I was in the Model A's and Model T's, they have some books that tell you from step one how to build one. All it takes is money and patience and a lot of know-how, I guess. But you can pretty much build one from anything. These fellows with the rat rods, it's amazing what they can do with a piece of junk. I mean, they bring in a pile of rust and drive out on the road.
Oh, my. Now, when you start a car, tell us a little bit about your car that I'm just infatuated with, that purple People Eater. How long from the beginning, the absolute beginning, did it take you to finish, along with your wife, Frida, that car so that it would be a champion car?
Well, we're not finished yet. And in all honesty, it was started when we got it. A fellow would build it for his mother, but she, and that's why it's purple. She was in the Red Hat Society, and the reason it's a 31 is she was born in 31.
I see.
But since we got it, we've done not extensive work to it, but we've changed a lot of things to make it ours. We've painted parts that weren't painted before. We've added parts to it. And we still got a ways to go.
Okay.
It's so much fun to drive, you don't have no much time to work on it, except in the winter. Then it's too cold because I don't have a heated garage.
Okay. Now, I understand that during the Classics on the Grass car show coming up this weekend at the Cassia County Fairgrounds, you're also going to have a pedal car raffle and other raffle items. Talk about that a little bit, would you, Jimmy?
Okay. Some of the items that get donated for the car show are really too nice to be given away as door prizes. So these go onto a table that are set up with little containers, and these are raffle items, and they're open to people. They can see something that they think they like it, and they can buy a handful of tickets and put them all in one or spread them out down the line.
Okay. And also, T-shirts are for sale. And talk a little bit about that. I'm sure that's a good fundraiser for everybody.
Yeah, we've been doing the T-shirts for quite a while. If a person enters a car, they get a T-shirt, a free T-shirt. Well, there's a price with and a price without. But that T-shirt, when they enter the car, only costs them $5 extra.
Okay.
Now, to buy extra shirts, you can, and it depends on the sizes. It goes up a little bit, but I was trying to see here. The additional T-shirts are run $14.
Okay.
Up to XL.
Okay.
From there on up is another $2 extra, and that's just because of the material.
All right. Now this is going.
They can also buy additional meals if they want. When you the first entry or the first car you bring in, you get a dash plaque, 2 steak dinners, and 2 chuck wagon breakfasts.
Oh, my.
If somebody comes and brings their kids or brings additional company, there's extra meals that can be purchased also.
Okay.
And actually, they're really reasonable. A steak dinner, and this is a good steak dinner. This isn't a fly-by-night deal. They run $6 a piece, and the breakfast run $4 a piece. And for the kids 12 and under, if they want to stay for dinner, it's only $3, and likewise the breakfast is only $3.
Okay. Now tomorrow,
salad, baked potato, meat. It's a meal. It's not just a slice of bread and a chunk of meat.
Okay, well, it sounds pretty doggone good to me, I'll tell you. Tomorrow, we're going to start on tomorrow morning, first hour. We're going to give away some tickets for the Classics on the Grass, and we're also going to do the same thing on Thursday. So we're going to spend the next 2 days giving away some tickets, and this is going to be the Classics on the Grass Great Big Car Show, 28th annual. It's this weekend, June 7th and 8th at the Cassia County Fairgrounds, and the gates open both days at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they shut her down at about 5. Anything else we missed, Jimmy?
I don't know what it would be other than the fact that we just love to see you there. I was told that there was a couple of other big car shows in the area that didn't get made this year. It didn't get put together, or for some reason they fell through. So this is like the first big car show of the year.
Okay.
So if you want to come see what it's about, or if you miss not being able to go one of the others that didn't participate this year, come on down and check ours out. We've been here for a long time, and it just gets bigger and better every year.
I've got a feeling that when you all get together at the fairgrounds, you find those great big old lawn chairs, and you kind of sit back and you're admiring these cars. I'll bet you there's a lot of stories that are told down there.
Oh, boy. I'll give you just a quick one. About 7, 8 years ago, we was having terrible weather. And this gentleman come up from, I think he came out of Idaho Falls. Anyway, he had a real nice-looking Mercury he was displaying. And he was sitting out in a lawn chair in a raincoat, holding a cup of coffee in his hand, and the rain just pouring on him. And I was walking around looking at some of these folks, and I felt real bad. And he was sitting out there, and I said to him, I got to apologize about this car show. He looked up with a big smile, and he said, "Hey, I'm just having a blast," he said. And they do, I don't know of a person, anybody in this car club, if you go up and talk to them, they won't take the time to stop and talk to you. They're all friendly, they're all quite knowledgeable, and they all love to show off their cars and talk about them and brag about them. And so just go around and visit with people, and there's a nice collection of cars that shows up there at our show.
All right. Jimmy Flowers and the car show coming up this weekend, 28th Annual Classics on the Grass at the Cassia County Fairgrounds, Saturday and Sunday. Jimmy, God's blessings to you, and we'll give away some tickets tomorrow and Thursday, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir. And for people that heard you call the car, come over and look at it. You can see this purple V-bleeder.
All right. Jimmy, God bless. Thank you so much for being on the program. We'll plug it the next couple of days. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. God bless.
All right, take care. Really, really nice man, and boy, he knows cars. Jimmy Flowers, we appreciate it. Okay, let's pay some bills here real quick. What are we going to do? Oh, Father's Day's coming up. Holy buckets. You can't forget that. Don't forget Redder's Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley. Great place to shop for Dad. Like, what do you mean? Well, recliners starting at just $3.99, over 30 different styles to choose from. Lifetime warranty, best in the industry. And also they've got kitchen appliances, laundry room appliances, mattresses, sofas, sectionals, recliners. Hey, buy your hubby or your dad a brand new chair and maybe get one for yourself at Redder's Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley for Father's Day. And also, don't forget the Goodie Shop. I drool every time I talk about this. The Goodie Shop at 133 West Main in Burley. Treat Dad to a goodie basket. Build your own or select one that's already done. And by the way, you can have a basket delivered to his work with a salad or sandwich, veggies, cookie, and a drink. Oh, Dad's going to love it. The Goodie Shop, 133 West Main in Burley. Wishing you and your dad a very happy Father's Day. Also, I want to remind everybody about our friends at Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Don't forget the very best of Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps, everything from our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. My good buddy Dave Zanino is the head man, the producer for the Jerome County Fair team ropings that are going on, a summer series, and they're every Wednesday night at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. And you sign up at 6:30, they rope at 7. And the one thing about Dave and his family, Dawn, his wife, etc., when they say start at 7, they're doggone close. I mean, they're really cognizant of everybody having the time to get back home and get to bed. Well, I'll tell you what, a 3 for $20 draw pot, enter up to 6 times. times. It's a good one. Jerome County Fair team roping, and it's every Wednesday night, 6:30 sign-up, rope at 7. Dave Zanino is the man. Okay, let's see what else have I got here real quick before I go to my next guest. And we're going to be having Andy Johnson from Wyoming coming on the program in just a few minutes, so stand by for that. Also want to remind you about our friends at Let's Ride. We were over there the other day and picked up our four-wheelers, had them serviced so they're ready to go to the mountains and just enjoy this summer. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Oh, my goodness, they got their new summer hours open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. And now's the time to buy a new generator. They've got all the power equipment right over there on sale, and they've got several varieties to choose from. And also, they've got those Can-Am side-by-sides. You open the door to that showroom, and I'm telling you what, they've got everything crammed in there. Oh, my goodness, I can't believe how many outfits they've got. ATVs, street bikes, dirt bikes, everything, all the accessories. You're going to love it. It's where the fun is sold. Let's Ride, Highway 24. Between Rupert and Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Oh, and by the way, real quick, I want to remind you that if you're looking for insurance coverage, you don't have to look any further than our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. That's right, they're ready to go because they're the professionals. Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, always there to serve you with their professional help and opinion on life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They really care. And this business has been there for a long time on Highway 24 in Rupert, so you be sure and stop in and say howdy to the very best, and know that the coverage you're going to get is going to make sure it protects you and your family. Dean and Todd with life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, Highway 24 in Rupert, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. We're going to go to the phone lines right now, and I'm very honored to have this gentleman take some time out of his busy schedule, and his schedule has been very busy the last couple of weeks, and this is Mr. Andy Johnson from over in Wyoming. Andy, good morning to you. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Zeb. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm a lot better than you are to some extent because I don't have the EPA staring on my backside of my shoulder threatening me with $75,000 a day in fines. I want you, if you would, to tell everybody why the EPA is after you and what you did that was so absolutely wrong that they're trying to fine you out of existence.
Well, to give you a quick overview of what we got going on is we live out here in the country. We have 300 people in our town, the middle of nowhere in Wyoming, and we own about 9 acres of ground here. And me and my wife and my 3 little kids just love it. We enjoy having horses and cows and raising some hay and just living the country life. So we started to inquire about building a stock pond on our property about 5 years ago, and the state engineer came out, and we had it surveyed 3 times, and he helped us, fill out the permit that went through the state engineer's office in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And about a year and a half later, we got our permit back, and it was all revised and ready to go. And so we started building our stock pond. And, we put a lot of work into it. It took us about 5 months. Me and my wife did it all ourselves. My kids helped. And when we were all done, we sent the paperwork off to Cheyenne, and they did a final on it. They sent us a paper back saying that we were in good standing with the state of Wyoming and that our pond was exactly exercised as permitted. So we thought we were good. Well, about a year later, here comes the EPA knocking on our door saying you may or may not be in violation. And I said, well, if we are in violation, we'd love to work with you and do what we need to do to clear it up. If we miss something, we apologize. So, didn't hear a lot from them. A couple letters here and there. Had a conference call. And then about, 2.5, 3 months ago now, we got a packet in the mail that was about 50-some pages long. And it threatened me with $187,000 a day is actually what it amounts to.
Oh, my.
Criminal charges, civil charges, statutory charges. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And they told me that I had to hire a consultant, respond in writing within 10 days to destroy my pond and everything that I've worked for, or else. And so I knew from day one that we were going to fight it. And, we had permission for this project. That's what still doesn't make sense to me today is the state of Wyoming said, yes, you can build this, go ahead, here's your permit. And we thought that we followed all the rules. And now here we are with this administrative order hanging over our heads. And it's just ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And we haven't harmed the water in any way, shape, or form. It's actually improved the water. It's crystal clear. We've had our water tests done. And that was another thing is EPA did no soil samples, water tests. They did nothing. They put all the burden of proof on us.
Let me ask you this, Andy.
They told us, you may or may not be in violation, but you need to prove to us that you're not.
Right.
And so it's been frustrating to say the least. We've had a lot of sleepless nights, and but we're getting through it, and we're fighting it.
Well, Andy, I can't imagine. It's never happened to me, and I don't want it to happen to me. I'm quite a bit older than you are, but to open up the mail and see in a letter, hello, Mr. Johnson, by the way, you owe us $187,000 a day in fines, that would take about 10 or 11 years off your life right there, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I to be honest with you, I was devastated. I work really hard for what we have, and I work for the United Steelworkers, and we pay our taxes. We're law-abiding citizens. To get something like that, it was very, very stressful. So I started. I got on the phone and I called our senators. I called our governor. The governor's behind us 100%. We had Mike Enzi, John Barrasso jumped right on board. David Vitter out of Louisiana. Immediately, I had a huge political following. And the support has been outstanding. We've had people from all across the country call us and money. We've had legal foundations step forward and say, we are willing to go to battle for you for free. It's just been incredible how many people have stepped up and helped us.
We have a caller with a question for you, Andy, so stay tuned. If you can't hear, let me know and I'll paraphrase the question. Caller, real short. Go ahead, please.
Well, having lost 2 jobs due to EPA non-science and so forth, the point you brought out a minute ago was the fact that our whole system of government is that we're innocent until proven guilty. But with the bureaucrats, whether it's IRS, EPA, and so forth, the burden of proof is on the plaintiff, on the defendant, and it's just totally un-American. And I'm asking the question is, where's your senators and congressmen? Where are they at in this fight? And are they working to stop the EPA by funding the EPA and so forth? That's my question.
All right, Andy, what about your congressmen and senators over in Wyoming? Are they doing all they can to say, hey, EPA, you're acting like punks and thugs, and we're going to start a movement to start defunding your organization?
They have been tremendously helpful. They're on the front lines of this battle. They've sent all kinds of letters to Washington, to Miss McCarthy, the head of the EPA. They have done everything in their power to back me, and I'm very, very thankful for that. To say the very least, the EPA and Wyoming don't get along real well. I'm sure everybody's seen the Indian reservation thing up in Riverton and the coal emissions, and I think EPA is just trying to get their foot in the door. But as far as senators and everybody, we are thrilled that they have our back on this.
Andy, let me ask you, let's back up to the beginning on this. You went down to the state and through their offices got all the required approvals and permits and everything. You jumped through the hoops and you thought everything was legal. Now, finding out the EPA just comes in and supersedes your state, is this a wake-up call for the state of Wyoming and all the state representatives, knowing that the EPA is going to step on them like a bug and they're going to supersede their power?
Absolutely. This has been, a national case, but, as far as Wyoming goes, everybody is just shocked because this is the first of its kind right here in this part of the state. Wyoming, is not used to a lot of regulation. We kind of, do what we need to do and pay the bills, and life goes on out here. And This project here is just one of thousands of stock ponds throughout Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
And this pond is no different than any other structure permitted by the state. And so the state, was actually shocked as well to have the EPA come in here. But as far as the EPA is concerned, they don't care about the state. They don't care about the governors. They don't care about the senators. To them, they are the ultimate superpower, and they will decide. And, to me, it's an injustice to the guy at the bottom of the totem pole like me. I'm an everyday guy. I got some horses and cows and just trying to live my life and take care of my kids. It's an injustice to me because the state did not inform me of any 404 federal permit that I needed. And, we live adjacent to a very public county road. We're law-abiding people. We, would absolutely no way have went into this if we thought that we were going to be in violation.
Andy, is the pond, is it something that is in the way? Is it something that's causing a problem? Is it something that's being a hazard to waterfowl or wildlife? Is it something that is being discharged into federal waterways that they didn't like? What was their main gripe that all of a sudden they hang you with a $187,000 per day fine?
Well, I'd love to explain that to you. First of all, our pond is crystal clear. We have 4 and 5 pound brown trout in it. We have blue herons come in, ducks and geese. It is a tremendous environmental benefit. In no way is it hurting the environment. And we have the facts and the documentation to back that up. I feel like the reason they came after me is because I did not acquire their permission before I did this project, which I didn't know of. I think if I would have went to them, which I don't even know how I would have even found them, but if I would have asked for their permission, I don't know if I'd be in this position today.
Mm-hmm. Well, give us a little bit of information, and we'll take another caller with a question momentarily. But, Andy, tell me a little bit about the pond itself. How big is it? How deep is it? How is it structured? That type of thing.
Okay. We have a little tiny channel that goes down through the bottom. It's 40 feet wide by about 600 feet long. I would say an average of maybe 10 feet deep. Mm-hmm. On the deepest end, and then it goes down shallower. Just backed up into our hay field. It's got some willows. It's a beautiful, pristine little stock pond.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this, and we'll take the caller. Short answer to this. How do you think the EPA found Andy Johnson?
There's no doubt in my mind that I have a neighbor that gave us some hints that they might have been the ones, and then after I saw the information release on the case, I know it was our neighbors, which is pretty sad, but that's where it sits.
Absolutely. Boy, I tell you what, neighbor versus neighbor, that's atrocious. Caller, good morning. Your call, please. Your question. Go ahead.
Zeb, is this pond on private property?
Andy, it's on private property, is it not?
Absolutely 100% on private property.
Yes.
You're being nice. I tell those EPA people where to go. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Well, that's the general feeling. Andy, I got to tell you that I had your story on right after I found out about it, and I want you to know, and your family, and I see a picture of your wife and your daughters. My goodness, you've got a good-looking family. I can't imagine mentally what you're going through looking at their fines. How many days have you been in objection to their requests? I mean, you must be up over $1 million in fines right now, aren't you?
Well, it's actually what it ended up being. When I first read the administrative order, I read 37,500 times 2. I assumed it was 75,000. Now, after it's been reviewed by our army of attorneys that we have on this, they come up with $187,000 a day. So that's like $5.5 million a month or something like that.
Oh my!
It's just absolutely crazy. You know, I don't have that kind of money, and even if I did, I don't think I would pay it out, because it's about the principle of the whole thing. I got permission. I built it. It's my property that I work hard for and I pay taxes on. I should have the right to do that, in my opinion.
Andy, what would be the difference?
It's pretty stressful, to say the least.
Absolutely. What would be the difference all of a sudden this afternoon if I went out in my backyard here at the ranch in Murtaugh and I enhanced my wife's little fish pond? She's got a little fish pond out there that we dug about 8-9 years ago. And if I enhanced that fish pond, what would be the difference in the potential problem with the EPA that you have? It'd be about the same thing, wouldn't it?
Well, I certainly hope that you have better neighbors than I do, because if they don't know about it, then there's not much they can do.
What would be their complaint, though? I mean, I'm not trying to get you to have a neighbor versus neighbor on the program, but what I am trying to find out is how was this pond in any way, shape, or form hurting them that they felt obligated to turn you into this heinous group called the EPA?
Well, it's an absolute shame, but I think a lot of it is jealousy of, your place looks nicer than our place, or you have that and I don't, or whatever. We're not really sure. And at this point, it's not really relevant to us, because we're going to take this on. We're going to fight this for the state of Wyoming and for every other, rancher, farmer, anybody that has any kind of water, private property owner across America. This has turned out to be a way bigger case than that. So regardless of how we got turned in, we're gonna fight this all the way.
All right, I want to talk about that and helping you in just a moment, but right now let's take another call. Caller, go ahead quickly, please.
Yes, I got two kind of questions. Why don't you give the neighbor's name over the radio, because I really do believe in shunning them, if that's what you want to say. And also, what if you just ignore EPA? What would happen if you ignored EPA?
Let's talk about that.
I have a feeling they'd probably come after you, but do you have enough neighbors that would join with you, like what happened down south with that rancher?
Okay, good question. Good question. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a tremendous amount. We have thousands and thousands of people that are following this case that feel just as passionate as I do about private property rights. And there's no doubt in my mind, all I'd have to do is make a couple phone calls, and we would have a militia set up here just like the Bundy case. As far as the neighbors go, this whole community has basically shunned them. I don't think they're going to last too much longer around here. The word's got out.
Yeah.
So that problem is going to take care of itself.
Let's talk a little bit, though, Andy, about what that gentleman just said as far as ignoring the EPA. And, boy, I'll tell you what, I'm on your side, and we'll do anything this program can to bring more justice for you and your family. But what about the EPA, their thuggery, their punk attitude, and saying, take it apart right now or we're going to fine you into financial obscurity? What can you do? What are you doing? Or how are you going to fight back?
Well, what we've done is we have got an expert out of Idaho. His name is Ray Cagle.
Mm-hmm.
He used to work for the EPA as an enforcement officer for 20-something years. He decided that he didn't like the moral compass of the EPA and how they treated people, what they were doing. So he goes out and he starts his own consulting firm on his own, and he helps people just like me. He's helped the Sacketts up there in northern Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
He's a tremendous man. Him and his wife, Susan, they go all the way around the country helping people. So he came down here. He spent the whole day with us, and he revised a report, an 18-page document, and it said in detail why we are not going to follow these regulations. We're completely exempt, and there's three major reasons why. There's actually more, but we put three reasons in our document, and we sent it off to EPA. They have told us that they are carefully evaluating the new information that they just received. So that's how we're going to go about fighting it. We're going to play their game, and in the administrative order, we have the right to a judicial review. So, if worse comes to worse, I guess we'll end up in court right here in Wyoming with an 8-person jury. And I don't know if you've been following the Hamilton case that just happened, but EPA lost. They went back to Denver on that one.
Right.
They come after a guy for repairing his irrigation canal. And same kind of thing, 404, Clean Water Act. So we're very, very optimistic and hopeful at this point that we can resolve this. If not, then we're prepared to go to battle.
Andy, let's ask this part of the equation in the story. What about the EPA itself? Have they ever been amenable to putting boots on the ground and coming out and sitting down over a glass of iced tea and looking you and your lovely wife in the eye and saying, here's the problem, here's how we can stop the problem, here's what you need to do to not exacerbate the problem? Have they ever tried to be decent and talk to you?
You know, they have contacted us, but once again, they put the burden of proof upon us, which I don't understand this agency, and I don't know what they're about. I don't know their permits and everything else. One guy came in our house. We invited him in and said, you know, do you want a glass of water? You know, what do you need? Let's talk this over. And he came in our house, and the arrogance of this person was unspeakable. And he said, well, you may or may not be in violation, but you need to prove to us that you're not. And I said, well, how do I do that? I don't even know what you guys are looking for, nor does my state. How am I going to do that? And then he disappeared. I mean, he was here for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then he was gone. Then you don't hear anything for 6 months, and then you get a big giant packet in the mail. If I can explain it any better, it's like they hold this book and they don't let you read it, but yet they're going to crucify you if you don't live by that book. Mm-hmm. You know, we're finding out all these things after the fact, you know, that we didn't know before. You know, there's all these different exemptions. There's all these nationwide permits that exist. None of that was discussed with us. And I truly believe that their sole interest was to destroy my project, my family, and my life from day one. I mean, I never got the feeling that they were trying to help me or put us in compliance or give us options or anything. It was that they were working against us from day one.
You know, a person like you is an example for all young people, I think, in the United States of America. And I am so proud to have you on this program because you're standing up for what is right. And this is absolutely insidious, what this EPA has developed into an encroaching cancer across the United States. Now, in regards to helping you fight this problem, what do you need? What can we do?
Well, tell you what, I want to put this out there. We're doing a giant 4th of July party right here. You know, we're not going to let this whole thing get us down. We're going to go ahead with life. It's kind of a fundraiser, but just kind of a get-together. We're asking anybody that supports our cause to come on out to little old Fort Bridger, Wyoming, check out the famous pond, have some barbecue. We're going to shoot some cannons off. It's going to be a good old time. So,
now
my brother set up a fund also if anybody feels like they could donate would be phenomenal. It's called SaveTheStockPond.com.
Okay.
And you know we've got a mountain of legal fees that are piling up. I'm trying to work as much overtime as I can, and we're trying to fight this every bit by ourselves. And you know we have a tremendous backing too, but that's kind of where we're at with that.
Well, I can guarantee you one thing. We're going to absolutely do all we can to support your story and support you and your cause. And I just want to extend the very best to you. What about some of the agents in the area with the EPA? Nobody else has made any overtures to try to have a sympathetic conversation with you? And have you just been left out in the cold? Or what's the status right now today?
Oh, yeah, we haven't been contacted by the EPA at all. You know, as far as the state officials go, the county officials, the locals here, everybody is very, very supportive of us. You know, they just love our project, and they're behind us 100%. I think people nationwide are realizing that if, in fact, EPA can come in here and destroy my property, bankrupt me, they can essentially do that to everybody.
Right.
You know, our little stock pond is no different than anybody's irrigation ditch or ponds throughout America, and I think that's what has drawn the national attention of this case. So we're gonna stand up not only for our own family and for Wyoming, but for every other state and every private property owner across America.
Well, I'm going to keep plugging this on the program on a daily basis. And ladies and gentlemen, SaveTheStockPond.com. Andy Johnson over in Fort Bridger. By the way, don't be surprised if you have a whole bunch of people show up on the 4th of July. Is there any special direction to your place that people should be aware of?
We have it advertised on the internet. Our address is 686 County Road 260 in Fort Bridger, Wyoming 82933.
Okay.
And our phone number is listed if anybody needs to get that, to get directions. But I think we're going to have one heck of a celebration here. And, we're going to celebrate our freedom and liberty and living in this great country. And, we love Wyoming. We love America. And we're not going to let this beat us.
All I can say is God bless you, Andy. We need a lot more Americans with your spirit to stand up for what's right and be very pugnacious against those that are trying to promote wrong. And I'll do everything I can on this program to help you and possibly have you back on the show again in the next couple of weeks. Let us know what's happening. Once again, it's SaveTheStockPond.com.
On your show. Thank you very much.
And I'll do all we can from here. And in the interim, God bless, and I'll be in touch, okay?
All right, thank you.
God bless you.
Everybody.
Thank you very much. Andy Johnson from Fort Bridger, Wyoming. And wow, I mean, $187,000 per day in fines. And he doesn't know. They won't tell him what he's done wrong, if anything. And now he's up to, what? He said $5.5 million in fines? I'd fight it too. This is absolutely America at its worst with the EPA, thugs and punks. And all I can say is please write that down. If you can contribute a little bit to help them, I'm going to. SaveTheStockPond.com. Andy Johnson and his family in Fort Bridger, Wyoming. And I'm going to try to make some arrangements to try to get over there on the 4th of July. Ay, ay, ay. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Oh, my goodness, all the sofas, all the bedroom sets, all the dining room sets, all the accessories, all the bar stools, all the china hutches, everything at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. And, of course, they've got carpet. They've got rolls and rolls of carpet. Everything for the beautification and comfort of your home. Right there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. And people that really know, they can help you with all your ideas on how to maybe spruce up the living room or maybe do something with that recreation room. They can help, and they will. At Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more, 459 Overland in Burley. Holy buckets, I've got to get a Michael Rogers weather on in here, and it's brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. The best of guns, ammo, and accessories with Ryan and the rest of the crew and super nice people that are very knowledgeable at Red's Trading Post. Here's the weather with Michael Rogers Weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Now, our scenario for today is this. It's Tuesday, and you got a nice weekend coming. So you got chores to be done. Ladies, get your significant others to get those chores done before you get to the weekend, because you're going to have a nice weekend. As far as the day is concerned, sun and clouds, 83 for the high. You're going to stay in the 80s all the way through Monday and next week. So enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. You stop in and see them today. Gina, are you right there by your microphone? Do-do-do. I hope she's there. I don't know about you, but I think I would swallow very hard and sit down real quick because of the weakness in my knees if I got a bill for $187,000 a day.
Oh, my goodness. I think I would just collapse bawling. I don't know what I would do if I got that kind of a bill.
But when you get that kind of a bill and you don't know what you did wrong, I think their approach is absolutely the best approach. Just say, stick into your ear, and I'm not going to pay it.
Agreed. I think that he's handling it the right way.
I do too.
So, I think we need to follow this, and hopefully hopefully things will go the way he wants them.
The best way for this to go is for the EPA to shut up and get out of Dodge City. Literally. I have no use for the EPA. I have no use for thuggery and punkish attitudes. And this man, you can tell by his voice, he's a very sincere young man. And he jumped through all the hoops he thought for the state of Wyoming. And then all of a sudden, after everything's said and done, the EPA comes in and says, bam, we got you.
All because of his neighbor.
Yeah. I would find it hard to send that person a Christmas card.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll have more on Andy Johnson and SaveTheStockPond.com. I hope if you can contribute a few bucks to his legal defense, you will. I'm going to keep having that on the program. I'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Dr. History coming up after the news. Oh, welcome back. Hour number 3 on a Tuesday. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, our major sponsor. Thank you very much. All 7 locations, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And, of course, don't forget Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly at 734-6969. Just a quick follow-up. We're going to have Andy Johnson back on the program in the next couple of weeks for an update. And once again, I'm absolutely committed to helping him financially if we can get some money for his legal defense to fight the thugs and buffoons of the EPA. SaveTheStockPond.com. SaveTheStockPond.com. And click on all the information is right there. My goodness sakes, let's not forget, too, some of our great advertisers like the Chadwick Sports Grill. 139 West Main in Burley. Great lunch. Oh, what a menu. Today, they're going to feature, this has just absolutely got me drooling down both sides of my mouth, roasted pork loin with apples and onions and choice of potatoes and veggies and super salad. Oh, it sounds so good. You're going to love it. The whole menu at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in and see them today. I'll bet you I know another old boy that right now is drooling because he gets hungry at the drop of a hat. Here he is, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. That does sound kind of tasty.
Ooh, I love apples and onions. That combination absolutely is great.
Oh, yeah. I'm not even hungry, and that sounds good.
Oh, come on, you skinny, scrawny little guys, you're always hungry, and you can take a bath in a shotgun barrel. You can eat all day long.
What can I say? How you doing today?
I am great. Hey, listen, we've had some inquiries about people wanting to know more about Dr-History.com. Before we get started with your story, tell everybody about that real quick.
Well, the website is up and running now for about 2.5 months, and we've got, probably about 12 or 13 stories on there every week. This story today will be on there probably tonight or tomorrow morning, so anybody can go back and listen to previous stories, and again, every week we'll put on a new story. I was checking on the statistics, and we actually have listeners in China, Japan, England, Europe, Brazil. I don't know how they found out about us, but we've actually got listeners basically almost all over the world. Right?
Holy smokes, I'm making everybody mad. We could sever relationships with a whole bunch of countries on this program.
Oh, yeah. That's why I try to keep this family-friendly.
There you go. Well, now listen, what have you got for a family-friendly story this morning?
Well, Zeb, years ago in the Old West, when you traveled, there were certain things that made things safer and some things that made things more dangerous. Mm-hmm. If you traveled alone by yourself, who knows what would happen to you? So I'm going to tell you what happened to a few people. So I want you to just picture in your mind, if you will, there's a guy by the name of Dr. William York. He's traveling on his horse. And as he's going along, he comes to a place called the Bender Inn. Okay? Now, it'd been a long day on the Osage Road, and he was tired. This was in Kansas. He was tired and hungry, and he didn't think he could make it another 5 miles to the small town of Cherryville. In retrospect, he should have kept it going.
Uh-oh.
Now, this is south of Topeka and east of Wichita is where we're talking about. Now, the good doctor was traveling a lonely stretch of southeastern Kansas between Fort Scott and his home in Independence. Now, although little more than a cabin, the Bender Inn was a welcome sight. Dr. York noticed that there was a crudely painted sign above the door that said groceries. Now, besides a meal, he knew he could get a bed for the night and a bit of grain for his horse. Now, again, Kansas in 1873 was still a dangerous place for a lone man to travel. I mean, think about it. There was the Osage Indian raids, and outlaw attacks were not uncommon in this part of this was still wild country. Now, besides visiting his brother in Fort Smith, York also had come looking for clues about a good friend and his daughter who had gone missing several months earlier. And they were believed to have gone this same route. So he was trying to figure out if he could find any clues as to what happened. So anyway, so here he is at the Bender Inn. Now, Dr. York, he didn't pay much attention to Ma or Pa Bender, who seemed kind of standoffish, kind of unsociable. And their son, Junior Bender, appeared nice enough, but he appeared to be a little slow. I mean, not the sharpest tool in the shed, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the good doctor, he did feast his eyes upon the hostess, very attractive 23-year-old Kate Bender.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she was kind of a refreshing sight after a long day on the trail, and Kate was not only pretty, but she was charming. I mean, a good conversationalist. Now, locally, she was known as a psychic, occasionally holding seances and lectures on spiritualism. And anyway, this attractive woman welcomed the tired and travel-worn Dr. York into the inn. And now I want you to picture this. This is an important part of the story. There was a canvas screen that separated the eating area from the kitchen and the sleeping cots. Now, that canvas screen is going to come into play here in a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Now, Kate seated her guest with his back to this canvas curtain and fed the hungry man while she talked to him about spiritualism and dazzled him with food and drink and conversation. And anyway, at some point after dinner, York leaned his head back against this canvas divider, and he kind of waiting behind the screen was Pa and Junior. And they sprang into action.
Oh, boy.
As soon as the doctor leaned back against that canvas, they bashed the doctor's skull in with a pair of heavy mallets.
Oh.
Now, if that wasn't enough, and I hope this doesn't put too many people off to kill the doctor, Kate took care of that. She rushed forward with her knife, and just as coolly as anybody could, she slit the doctor's throat from ear to ear. And then she expertly rifled through Dr. York's pockets for anything of value, and within minutes the blood was mopped up, the booty was stashed, and the body was dropped into the kitchen cellar.
They didn't really expect a tip for that dinner, did they?
Well, I guess they decided if he was going to tip them, they were just going to take it all.
Oh,
so,
my.
So this was known as the Bloody Benders.
Oh, my goodness.
And this infamous or famous quartet of serial killers would later be called that's what they were called, the Bloody Benders. They'd just bagged another victim, basically. And the Benders would be known as in history as some of the worst mass murderers in the West. And it was only about a year, from about 1872 to 1873, they operated out of what locals would later call the Benders Bloody Inn. And historians have never really learned exactly how many victims, and the sad thing is it included children that met the mallet and the knife at the hands of the Bloody Benders.
Oh, my goodness. Now, I suppose one brother was called Fender Bender and the other one was called Bumper Bender, right?
Well, that would have been a lot better than the bending they were doing.
I see.
Like smashing people's heads. But anyway, later they did find the bodies of at least 20 people were found on the property.
Oh, my.
And they think that the number could have been as high as even 40.
Oh, my goodness.
But let's go back a little bit. The story of the Bender Inn has its roots in the post-Civil War period. Now, settlers complained that the Osage Indians, who had been given a portion of southeastern Kansas by treaty, should be moved so that whites could use the tribal land. Well, among the first wave of settlers was a cult of people called the Spiritualists. And they took up residence near the Osage Trail, and the town of Cherryvale sprang up a few miles away. Now, among the group of cultists, or these spiritualists, was John Bender, his son Junior, and they each settled a section of prairie land right there. And a little later, the Bender women arrived, Ma Bender and Kate. And after they'd built this cabin, I guess, that we're going to call the Bender Inn. Now, these spiritualists were a little bit strange, but they were industrious, they were hardworking, and they would go to their Sunday meetings every Sunday. But the Benders, they seemed to prosper. They had things going pretty good. They had a nice garden. They had an excellent orchard with more than 50 trees. And anyway, to help make ends meet, they also opened up this inn and grocery store for travelers along the road. So they offered meals, they offered a bed for the night, and they offered grain for the livestock. And in their store, they sold ammunition, powder, lead balls, canned goods, dried fruit, jerked meat, tobacco, and whatever else they had. But it was said that if the man had no guests, if they didn't have any guests in the inn, you could see the Benders out working in their orchard. Now, this will come into play later. The ground around the trees was exceptionally well-groomed and well-fertilized, as you'll come to find out. Anyway, John, or Pa Bender, the neighbors commented, he was sometimes hard to understand because he actually came from Germany, and so he was hard to understand. But he was thought to be in his late 50s, about a large man for his day, probably more than 6 feet tall, with big old bushy black caterpillar eyes, kind of like a mustache that I described last week.
Oh, boy.
But he mostly kept to himself, and his son John Jr. was actually a kind of a good-looking guy in his 20s, and he was known to talk to himself as he walked or worked, and again, I mentioned he was thought to be a little slow. But like his father, he was a hard worker, and in those hard times, hard work kind of covered a multitude of sins, although I don't think it could have covered their sins. But anyway, Kate Bender was the only one of the four who was considered outgoing. She was friendly, the sort of woman who was instantly liked by everyone. But she kind of ruffled the community with her revolutionary philosophy. She was kind of a couple of hundred years ahead of her time, but she was considered by some at the time to be satanic. But, sometimes her ideas offended some of the locals, but her reputation as a looker, I mean, she was a good-looking lady. I don't have a picture of her, but she was evidently a very attractive lady. She was a hostess and a psychic. She drew a number of interested customers, and again, so did her good looks.
Yeah, she was a psychic, all right. She looked the guy in the eye and said, "You're going to die," and he was right.
I know what's in your future, and it's not looking good. Anyway, on occasion, Kate would take her presentation on the road, and she would visit towns around Kansas, and she would sometimes billed at lectures as a professor of the supernatural.
Oh, my.
Now, back then, people really looked to these people for guidance and one thing and another, but anyway, people who were interested in psychic phenomenon or who needed spiritual healing were said to seek her out. And she professed to have the ability to see into the future, as you just mentioned. She said she could communicate with spirits and she could heal with herbs and charms. And in fact, I've got a poster right in front of me that says Professor Miss Katie Bender can heal all sorts of diseases, can cure blindness, fits, deafness, and all such diseases. Also deaf and dumbness. Anyway, that's June 18th, 1872. That was her calling card, I guess, if you want to call it that.
She could have really made a fortune back in Washington, D.C.
Yes, curing deafness and dumbness. Yes, she would have been well paid. Anyway, Ma Bender, she also claimed to be a psychic, but she wasn't so good at it, not as good as Kate. And she was kind of a big woman in the early 50s, and Ma Bender was said to have a little bit of a temper, and she kept her husband and son in line, but she never seemed to get mad at Kate, however, because I guess Kate was the moneymaker, so to speak. So anyway, it doesn't appear that the other families in the spiritualist group knew anything about this extracurricular activities that was taking place at the Bender Inn. And the family members, with Kate as the ringleader, took good care to cover their tracks. They were pretty cautious. Now, the Benders largely targeted lonely souls who wouldn't be readily missed. Now, after they were satisfied that the man was a good prospect, they would kill him and rob him. Now, travelers usually were safe from the Benders if they were in a group or if there was another guest present. And if a traveler had a local connection, if someone knew he was staying at the Bender Inn, or if the person was a regular, he'd also be safe. Now, the guys that weren't safe were cattle buyers, investors, land speculators, travelers, and back then, they did business on a cash basis. So these were the prime targets. So, and also people that would make it hard to trace their whereabouts. And these were the ideal victims for the Benders. Now, the Benders preferred victims that were on long journeys. Again, such a person like this might not be missed for months, and the likelihood of authorities tracing the victim back to southeastern Kansas plains, let alone the Bender Inn, was pretty remote. And as I mentioned, besides violence and trouble on the trail, which was not uncommon, there were natural hazards to be accounted for, like getting thrown or dragged from a horse, bitten by a snake, caught in a blizzard or a tornado, or swept away in a flash flood, among other things. So, back then, people just would vanish, disappear, and their remains would never be found. And, of course, always the chance of being attacked by Indians, or, there's more than one man that was shot and killed for his horse or his saddle, not to mention whatever cash the guy had.
That's right.
So, anyway, by 1873, the number of disappearances along the trail had gotten so high that officials and local residents began paying attention. This region in southeast Kansas had become one of the most dangerous places to travel in the West. Well, things kind of came to a head with the disappearance of this Dr. York in the spring of 1873. When the good doctor didn't return, his wife and brothers used their influence to try to get some investigation going. Now, oddly enough, it was partly Dr. York's own investigation that had drawn him down the road in the first place. You see, Dr. York's friend, a guy by the name of George Lonker, had taken his 7-year-old daughter to visit relatives. And Lonker and his child never reached their destination and just seemed to have vanished without trace. Well, York wanted to retrace their route and find out what had happened to them. So when Dr. York himself vanished, his brother, a guy named Colonel York, personally led an investigation, and in May of 1873 to find him. Well, it didn't take long before they concluded that Cherryvale near the Bender Inn was the best place to start. Now, it was common knowledge that the doctor had stopped at the Bender Inn for an early meal. Now, according to the Benders, he had continued on his way. They had an alibi. But the Benders were apparently the last people to see him alive.
Uh-oh.
Well, the Cherryvale residents, eager to help in any way they could, they cooperated with Colonel York, and they had a town meeting, and it was attended by Pa Bender. And anyway, most of the locals pledged support to the investigation, and nearly all the homesteaders were honest people who were also worried about the dangers of the road. They themselves had to travel on this road. So anyway, volunteers stepped forward to join the search party, which soon had more than 50 men. Now, according to some accounts, even Kate Bender joined the effort, promising to consult the spirits to see if they could help find the missing man. And we know good and well she didn't have to consult the spirits to know where these people had gone. But anyway, Colonel York and his party, they divided up to better search the area. Well, by the time York and his men reached the Bender Inn, the Benders were gone.
Uh-oh.
It appeared the family had fled rather quickly. They'd packed a few things, and they were gone. Well, Colonel York led a search of the deserted Bender home, and what he and the others found was pretty awful. Finding the kitchen cellar nailed shut, the men pried the nails loose and opened the door, and you can just... I don't even want to imagine the smell that overtook them. Inside were... I don't even want to describe what was down in that basement.
How could they possibly hide that smell and all that from people that did stop there?
That's a good question. Because for 18 months, this went on.
Ooh.
The smell had to be horrific, But anyway, York thought there might be bodies buried under the cabin floor, and expecting the worst, the men ripped up the floor to search for victims, and they took the cabin apart piece by piece, but then the men spread out to search the property. Now, I mentioned about the careful grooming of the orchard.
Oh, yes.
They noticed some depressions in the ground and places where the soil was soft. Sure enough, they dug down and found people.
Oh,
and
no.
Farther, they found the man that Colonel York had been looking for, his brother, Dr. York. And they also found the bodies of his friend and his young daughter.
Ooh.
Now, this, like I say, nothing like this series of crimes has ever been recorded in the history of the country. And, you know, it's little wonder that the Benders' farm was later dubbed Hell's Acre by the searchers. And anyway, they found quite a few bodies, but as quickly as it was determined that the Benders were the murderers, they had kind of what we would call an all-points bulletin that went out. But they'd had a head start, and the searchers at first were able to follow the wagon tracks, but eventually they split up, and anyway, they got away. There was some rewards put out. The governor of Kansas offered $2,000. Colonel York offered $1,000. But in the end, Ma Bender and Pa, they all got away. So when they split up, you know, they, like I say, they went their separate ways, and nobody really knows what happened to them.
Oh, my goodness.
And so for all their homicidal activities, the Bloody Benders were thought to have netted about $5,000 in cash and gold, you know, along with saddle horses and wagons and teams and stuff like that. So that's the story of the Bloody Benders, but I have an addendum.
I think I know what it is. I know what it is.
But it's titled God Saved My Life.
Okay, I've got 2 minutes left.
It's a story about a guy named Reverend Daniel Brose. Now, he was traveling, and he came upon the Bender Inn. Mm-hmm. And he went in, excuse me, anyway, he got in the house, and he thought everything was okay. He saw the canvas divider dividing the room. He was introduced to Mrs. Bender and Kate, and they sat down to dinner, and he said as he was sitting there, he saw a very ugly, satanic-looking man enter the room, and he had a hammer in his hands. Well, at that instant, something came over me, he said, like a flash of lightning. I jumped up and went toward the door. Mrs. Bender said, "What is wrong?" He said, "I don't remember whether I drew my revolver, but I never felt so strong in my life as I did then. I pushed the mean-looking man out of my way, jerked the door open, and left." And anyway, he came back a couple of years later, and that's where he found the story, found out what was really happening.
Oh, my.
And so he was one of 4 people that we know of that actually escaped from the Bloody Benders.
Oh, my. You know, I know what the family did after they left Kansas.
What's that?
They opened up the Bates Motel.
I'm going to have to check that genealogy. There could be some connection there.
Yeah, they had some relatives back east in New Jersey that were the Bateses, and then they started the Bates Motel, and that's where Alfred Hitchcock started the movie.
What a great idea. I had never even connected those people.
Well, it's absolutely obvious. I don't know what you were thinking.
I know. I have another story, but I couldn't find it, about a young girl that was friends with Kate Bender.
Oh, my.
And they were quite good friends, but I couldn't find that story in my notes anywhere.
Well, I'll tell you what,
she thought Kate was okay, but, you know, of course, later found out she wasn't so okay.
Well, that story just gives me the creeps. The Bender family of Kansas. That was a good one. Dr-History.com. Everybody in the world, remember that. Dr-History.com. And you can listen to more of these stories every week right there on that website.
Well, this was kind of a gory one, and I kind of hesitated to tell it, but I thought, well, that's still part of the Old West. That's
there you go.
The hazards that travelers in the Old West faced, you know.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm down to the last 30 seconds, so I got to run, but Dr-History.com, better known as Dr. Ken Turner. Thank you very much. Excellent story this morning. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, you have a good day.
All right, take care.
Bye.
The Benders of Kansas. That was interesting on Dr. History. Remember, you can listen, Dr-History.com. Hey, don't forget, every Thursday we have a segment on our program called School Days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by 2 great businesses. Number 1, A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. They're having the 12th annual Every everything for babies and toddlers sale up to 20 to 50% off. And all the cribs and, of course, the walkers and the strollers and the blankets and the clothes and the toys and everything else. Oh, my, it's there for you at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Drive in Burley. You better believe it. Always check with them. The Burley Ambulatory Surgery Center, before having an outpatient surgery, every procedure done there will save you money while getting outstanding medical care right there in Burley. Number to call, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, bringing you school days in Cassia County. Caller, I'd love to take that call, but I'm past the time limit. I've got a hard break right at 10:30. We're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch. Last half hour, I know a couple of good old Declo boys that have grown up in farms in the area and now practice law right here in the Magic Valley area, especially right over there in Rupert. You better believe it, Brett Anthon and Matt Darrington with Anthon Darrington PLLC. All you have to do is just call them. They have the answers to your questions about wills and trusts and estates, ag law, water law, farm leases, of course, adoption, family law, everything. Please give them a call today at 260-5280. That number again, 260-5280. Brett Anthon, Matt Darrington, Anthon Darrington PLLC in Rupert, serving you. Right now, let's go to the telephone lines, and I've been looking forward to having this gentleman on our program, and he is the founder of the Tea Party Patriots, and I think we're going to get along famously this morning. Judson Phillips, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm well. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, and it's good to have you on the program. Judson, long story short, I am not a fan. You will not find anything about wind power or the green energy movement that I'm in favor of. And I have called for a long time those pedestals that they have with propellers, cancers on the landscape. I'd like to see every one of them tipped over and removed. What are your thoughts about wind energy?
You know, my thoughts on wind energy are this. If somebody can make it and make it cheap and competitive with other types of energy, I don't care. But what I do care about is the government giving billions upon billions of dollars to rich corporations and wealthy individuals so they can build these wind farms. There's one of the top recipients of federal dollars to buy these or pay for these wind farms is a guy you probably never heard of named Warren Buffett. Not, of course, to be confused with Jimmy Buffett. But, you know, seriously, Warren Buffett's like the second or third wealthiest man in the country, and he's getting, I don't know how much money to build these wind farms. He was on CNN about a month ago, and he was talking about it. He said, look, we build these wind farms because we get subsidies from the government to do so. He said it wouldn't make sense to build these things without the subsidies. Of course, my response to that is, if it doesn't make sense to build these things without the subsidies, why does it make sense to build it with the subsidies?
Absolutely. Judson, I'm going to ask your indulgence to please stand real still or sit real still. Hold that cell phone real still. We've got a bad connection here this morning, and I do not want to miss anything that you have to say. Cell phones sometimes can be a nemesis on our program. Now, you do a lot of writing, and you're a lawyer by profession, but tell us a little bit about, can we in America get rid of this idiocy of wind power that we're paying for with huge subsidies, but it's not making us any electrical money back to the American public?
Yes, we can get rid of it. The reason what this thing is called the Wind Power Production Tax Credit. And the key word there is tax credit. Tax credit is different from a deduction. We all kind of have the same idea of what a deduction is. We do it with our own personal taxes. Your home interest mortgage, for example, or your home mortgage interest is deductible. Your medical bills are deductible. Well, a credit is not something that's deductible. A credit is where the government gives you the money. And every few years, these credits come up for renewal, and right now this is up for renewal again. And in the House of Representatives, the bill has been written up. The technical term they used is a markup. It's been written up, and it's gone to the full House, and the House Ways and Means Committee has excluded the wind power production tax credit from the bill. That means if that bill is passed, there is no wind power subsidy in it. Now, the Senate's a different story. Jeff Flake, senator from Arizona, has introduced a bill that would kill the wind power tax credit in the Senate. Now, with Harry Reid in charge of the Senate, there's no telling what will happen. The two bills, once the House passes their bill and the Senate bill, are going to have to eventually get together. And because, when both houses of Congress pass a bill, the wording has to be identical before it can go to the president for signature. And so they're going to have to get together in what's called a conference committee and work it all out. And this is where it's so important. We need to tell our congressmen particularly, but also our senators, and we've got a couple of good senators up there in Idaho, that, hey, we need to stand firm on this and make sure that when the conference committee gets together and they work this bill out, that it does not include the wind power tax credits. And one thing I will say is I always tell people this. If you are not on a first-name basis with your congressman, you're doing something wrong. And I'm not talking about you know his first name. I'm talking about he or she knows your first name. If you're involved in politics, and you should be, every time your congressman has a town hall meeting, a district meeting, every time he's at an event, you need to be there so that your congressman knows you and they have no doubt where you stand on issues, and you make sure that they stand where you stand.
All right, Judson, I'm going to have to, as much as I hate to say this, I'm going to have to do something about this interview. If you're standing outside, maybe the wind's blowing through the mouthpiece, but we're having a difficult time trying to hear you, and you've got a message that I want my listeners to pay attention to, but we're getting an awful lot of background noise on your cell phone. So either we're going to have to move you inside, out of the wind.
We're in the middle of Texas, in a place called Conroe, Texas, and our cell coverage is probably not the greatest right now.
All right, whatever you did, it's a lot better right there. Do not move. Pretend you're on Mount Rushmore and you've just been turned into rock. Don't move. Now, I am absolutely scared as to what this president is going to do now that yesterday he said that he's going to have a cutback on CO2 of 30%. He's going to try to kill the coal industry. He's going to kill the electrical grid. Where in the world are we going to get reliable power all across this country after this president goes through and kills the coal industry and really puts us in jeopardy for all electrical rates to go sky high?
Well, here's the good news for you. Barack Obama, despite his wildest fantasies to the contrary, is not a dictator. The Senate and the House of Representatives, these are just regulations that are being passed. They can be overruled by Congress. And Congress can do some other fun things, too, like defunding the Environmental Protection Agency. And so what we have to do, we can't simply give up and go, okay, we got to figure out ways to find cheaper energy because Obama's going to skyrocket our coal prices and electrical prices. We need to go to our congressmen and our senators and say, hey, you put a stop to this. In Kentucky, where there's a contested Senate election, Mitch McConnell up for re-election, his Democratic opponent, Allison Lundgren Grimes, she came against Obama's plan today because Obama's plan is going to kill her in Kentucky. And a lot of these other states, every place where there's a Democrat running for re-election or even running for an open seat, this needs to be our message. If you vote for this guy, he's going to help Barack Obama jack your electrical prices through the roof. And so the answer to your question is we have to go to our senators and our congressmen and make sure they understand either you do something immediately to get this nonsense stopped or we're going to replace you with somebody who will.
Judson, the incompetency and the idiocy, I'm going to go ahead and use that word, of the American public right now, being duped into thinking that we can have a nation full of electrical cars. Even Bill O'Reilly, about a month ago on his program, and Bill sometimes is not the brightest bulb in the fixture, came out and said that he wished everybody in America had an electrical car. Well, where are we going to plug them in? How are we going to support that extra electricity on the grid? Wind power and solar power is not going to cut the cake. It's only going to be diminished, and the costs are going to go sky high. How come the American public can't realize this?
I think the American public does realize it, which is why you don't see many electric cars sold. But here's the other thing that nobody points out. They talk about, these electric cars, you're not going to use gas. Well, guess what? You got to produce the electricity. Well, producing the electricity takes coal, gas, whatever. It causes more of these so-called greenhouse gases than simply driving your car down the road using petroleum. So it's absolutely insane, this idea that electricity comes from nothing. No, it comes from something. And by using these electric cars and the components within the electric cars, all we're doing is increasing, if you believe this stuff, which, the only global warming I believe in is this phenomena called summer. But if you believe in this stuff, electric cars put out more CO2 emissions because of what it takes to produce them than gasoline engines do. But hey, if you really want to stop global warming, if you really want to stop this carbon stuff that's going out in the air, there's a simple way to do this. You know who the worst polluter in the world is?
I'm not sure. No, go ahead and tell me. China?
China. You want to stop there? Because we're pretty clean. Our stuff that goes into the air is really pretty clean.
Yes.
China's just a mess. They subsidize their power. They buy our American coal. It's shipped to China. It's burned over there, and they make a mess of it. And you've even seen the photos of Chinese cities that are just covered in smog. Well, the quickest way to stop that, tell China, fine, as of January 1, until you clean up your stuff, we're not buying any more products from China. Those big container ships that are coming from Chinese ports, we're going to turn them right back around and send them back fully loaded to China. See how quickly the Chinese would clean up their air.
Well, Judson, the ambiguity of the environmental movement in this country is laughable, because any environmentalist that really cares about the aesthetic value of the United States and its land and its air, etc., they're going to look at these hillsides with these cancerous pillars of wind turbines, killing birds, doing everything else to absolutely be aesthetically ugly, and then solar the same way. Why don't they step in and say, no, the green energy program is not the way to go?
Well, every one of these radical environmentalists, these green people that I've met, every one of them is a committed socialist. And the reason they love climate change and this argument and these regulations so much, it imposes greater state control over our economy. The economic term for it is called central planning. And you know what the last nation that was a centrally planned nation was? It was, by the way, I'll give you a hint, it was Barack Obama's favorite country. It was the old Soviet Union. And what happened to the old Soviet Union? It imploded. And one of the reasons the socialists, the green people, are not standing up more against this kind of stuff is because it gives them a byproduct that they want. The byproduct they want is government control. They want greater government control in our lives. They want the American people to pay higher taxes, have a lower standard of living, because that evil free market system, it oppresses people elsewhere, and we're all guilty of oppressing people elsewhere. And you end up with more government power. That's what they want out of this, and that's why they love this so much.
I've got to ask you before I let you go this morning, Judson, you're an excellent guest, founder of the Tea Party Nation. Why can't the Republican Party and the Tea Party sit down and start to have common sense prevail, cooler heads prevail, realize the power that they could wield politically? Why can't they bury the hatchet instead of each other's head and start to act like adults and do something right for the nation?
Well, it takes two to sit down and have a discussion.
That's true.
It takes two to have the old saying, it takes two to tango. One of the things I've written a lot about on Tea Party Nation, I also write for the Washington Times and several other platforms, and I have written about this. I said, look, I've been encouraging people, let's go support Republicans even if we don't agree with them, because the most important goal is getting Harry Reid out of office, as the Senate Majority Leader. But there is a problem. John Boehner and Eric Cantor and some of the other Republican leadership, the Republican establishment in Washington, have decided the Tea Party has served its purpose long enough, and now we're going to crush the Tea Party. Well, when you've got one side that's saying, we are going to crush you, it's kind of hard to have a meaningful dialogue or a peaceful coexistence with somebody like that. So I've been working with some Republicans, and in fact, I've made some people on my side mad because, I came out and endorsed Mitch McConnell for re-election. There are some things that we do need to work on, and we need to work on together. But at the end of the day, what we need to do as Tea Party movement, sit down, figure out the issues that are important to us, where the Republicans are willing to work with us on it. Hey, let's work with those things. But when they want to be big government status, when they want to increase spending, increase the debt ceiling, then we just have to put our foot in the ground and say, no, it's not going to happen. And if you insist on being a bad boy like Eric Cantor is, we've got to replace you. And hopefully a week from today, by the way, I live in Eric Cantor's district. And, I always tell people you're doing something wrong if your congressman doesn't know you by your first name. Well, Cantor knows me by my first name, and he doesn't like it when he sees me. But hopefully a week from now, we're going to replace him with a Tea Party activist named Dave Bratt.
So what's the answer overall before 2016? Time is on the wane. We've got to get something done in this country, whether it's energy, whether it's the economy, whatever the problem is that we're facing right now, to drive us backward instead of forward. We're not going to get any progressive thought as far as unification unless the Republicans and the Tea Party come together. What are we going to do? How are we going to solve this problem?
Well, for one thing, I tell Tea Party activists, be active in Tea Party organization, but also get active in the Republican Party. Because the only way we win is we have to change the Republican Party from the country club Republicans back to the Reagan Republicans.
Right.
But the other thing is the Tea Party, after this election this year, and we've got a lot on our plate right now, but we're going to have to sit down, pick out an agenda, and look at picking out a Tea Party candidate in 2016. In 2012, Mitt Romney was sort of the anti-Reagan. And I say that not because of his policies, but because of his politics. In 1980, Ronald Reagan was the only conservative standing against a bunch of moderates. The moderates all cut each other up. Reagan was the last man standing. 2012, we had a bunch of great Tea Party candidates and one moderate, Mitt Romney. The conservatives cut each other to pieces, and Romney was left standing. In 2016, we need to get behind one conservative. We need to do it early and let the moderates and the liberals, the people like Chris Christie, just cut themselves to pieces and make sure that our conservative, whoever that is, be it Ted Cruz, be it Scott Walker, be it whoever, is the last guy standing. That's how we do it.
One final thought here. With all the scandals that are hitting this administration, all the way from Benghazi through the IRS, through, of course, the VA, and now with Bergdahl and the releasing of 5 heinous killers of the Taliban, how in the world can the Democrats look back on anything but exact failure when they're trying to push Hillary for 2016?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm in a minority. I don't think Hillary's going to run. If she was going to run, she had her shot in 2008, and Obama was vulnerable enough in 2011 when Hillary would have had to pull the trigger, and she wouldn't do it. And I think she is going to take a look. First of all, I think she's got some serious health issues. Because that, quote, concussion she suffered, I think, is much more severe than they let on, because somebody, one of her people let it slip that it took her 6 months to get over it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think she's going to run. I don't know whether she's going to cite health issues. Bill Clinton's not the healthiest guy in the world either after, 3 or 4 bypasses. I just don't think she's going to run. I tell you, I'll go out on a limb right now. And my prediction that the the Democrat nominee in 2016 is going to be Elizabeth Warren.
Oh boy,
who will be even worse than Barack Obama. And that's why we've got to get a good candidate to be our nominee in 2016. Because if we end up with Romney again, or Chris Christie, or any other of these moderates that think that they can get out there just being Democrat light, we're going to lose to the Democrats again. And one more term of Democrat administration in the United States, we will be past the point of no return.
Are you telling me that this country would be naive and basically dumb enough to put a woman in office, the name of Elizabeth Warren, that lied about her heritage, lied about everything just to get the vote? They would put her in as president, and the Republicans and the Tea Party can't come up with more unified voice than that?
Are you meaning to tell me that a guy who lied about his heritage, maybe even about the place he was born, about all his school records, his entire history, would be elected by the American people twice, and the Republicans and the Tea Party couldn't get together to stop him?
Good answer. Good answer. Amen, brother. Amen, brother. I want you back on this program in the future. I enjoyed the visit. Judson Phillips, founder of the Tea Party. I really appreciate it. Now that we got everything settled and we could hear you, I appreciate the verbiage, and I'm going to call you in the future. Thanks, Judson.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hey, let me pull up the websites real quick. wasteinthewind.org and teapartynation.com.
God bless. I'll have you back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You betcha. Have a good day. Very interesting conversation. Oh, my goodness. Imagine how low can we go to even think Elizabeth Warren running for president? Oh, that sends a cold shudder into my heart. Oh, no, please, no. We're going to have a weather forecast real quick, and the weather is brought to you this hour by some really, really nice people, and boy, oh boy, they are the best custom meat processor, and they have been for over 20 years. Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. You can call and order marinated tri-tips for any occasion. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. And call for all the detailed information. That's right. It's 324-7657. Scarro's Meats, selling taste one bite at a time. Here now is Michael Rogers Weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Now, our scenario for today is this. It's Tuesday, and you got a nice weekend coming. So you got chores to be done. Ladies, get your significant others to get those chores done before you get to the weekend, because you're going to have a nice weekend. As far as the day is concerned, sun and clouds, 83 for the high. You're going to stay in the 80s all the way through Monday and next week. So enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right. Thank you, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you by Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome, selling taste one bite at a time. 324-7657. Boy, my little dinger on my telephone keeps going off. I got to pull it out of my pocket here and see. Maybe Gina sent me a note. Nope, not this time. Calls are welcome. I've got time for a couple of phone calls. Give us a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, are you right there by your microphone?
Yeah.
Boy, now that's what I like about this girl. You give her a happy birthday, and the next day she's in recovery and recuperation, and she goes, yeah.
No, I didn't say it like that. It was, yeah.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
Did you hear about this dim Democrat back in New York City that he's taking it upon himself to stop all the ROTC programs?
What?
Yeah, he doesn't believe that the ROTC programs are good for America. He said they contribute to a war machine.
What?
Yeah, the ROTC people that are involved in that program, they have some of the greatest leadership qualities, love of country, respect, and this clown looking for a circus, this dim Democrat back in New York City, wants the ROTC programs defunded. He doesn't want anything to do with them in the state of New York, and he wants to see if it couldn't be nationwide, and he thinks that it's supporting a war machine.
No, actually, it's not. You know, when I was going to school up at the University of Idaho, a lot of our friends were in the ROTC program, the ROTC program.
Right.
And it teaches them when they're, going to college and they're, in their basic officer training, it teaches them respect. They get their homework done. They're dedicated. They're hardworking. Not only are they there to learn, at least on the university level, but they're also there to learn leadership skills for the military.
Absolutely.
So it's not for the war machine. It's to build better members of our military.
Some of the most polite, most educated, most far-reaching, and every goal that they set in life were people that I knew that went through ROTC programs, and I'm absolutely astounded as to the stupidity of people like this Democrat in New York City that wants to stop all those programs because he says it contributes to a war machine. What it's contributing to are young adults that grow up into mature adults that have some respect and pride in what they do.
I think, honestly, that this particular person, I haven't heard this story, haven't read up on who this Democrat is, but obviously, this is my gut reaction. Number one, they've never served in the military. Number two, they've never had probably a family member serve in the military, so they just don't know what services the military provides.
Have you ever noticed, though, Gina?
Freedom.
Have you ever noticed, though, that all good things, that even when you were growing up and you're younger, the generation below us, the good things in life, the wholesome things in life, the pride in America, the standing up tall for the flag when it's raised on the pole, and God bless America, and the Pledge of Allegiance, that's all being denigrated right now.
It is. It is, and it's like the generations, the me generation, they don't care. And our generation, which is supposed to be teaching the me generation, we're saying, okay, yeah, whatever, go for it.
I've got a Les Schwab commercial, and then I'll take that call real quickly. Thank you very much. Don't forget, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center's the best. Underline that. The best. All 7 locations with the best in all the tires you need. The best in brake service. The best in shocks and struts, front end alignments, batteries. The best in service. Nobody else better. They do the job for you, for your safe driving. Don't forget to stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best. Good morning, caller. Quickly, I've got a minute left. That's it.
I believe that the ROTC program, along with basic training in the military itself, instills discipline and respect in young people, which is lacking a lot in some of our homes. And that's my opinion on it. Thanks.
Thank you. Well said. Discipline and respect, absolutely. And I just get so sick and tired of everything that is wholesome, everything that has a value, everything that shows and helps build respect for our country and our Constitution. There are those out there trying to tear it apart and throw it away. Not on this program. We're going to get out of here. We've had some changes for tomorrow with our guest lineup, and it's been kind of a who's on first, what's on second type thing. We do know that we're going to have Christine Harbin Hansen from back east, and we're going to be talking about the stupidity of the EPA. We're going to have Doug Johnson on from Colorado. We're going to have military veteran Mike Greenwell on the phone tomorrow with us. Don't miss that at 10:30, among other guests. So that's part of what's going to happen tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Remember, the way things were, the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06. Thanks, Gina. See you then.